With RJ and J. Will in the house. J. Will was in Toronto last night, saw all the action, flew back overnight, so we were appreciative of that. And he's so appreciative that RJ wore his finest jewelry to accommodate you here. Got the championship ring working.
Respect.
Today.
Yeah, that's what we're fighting for.
Zoom in on that thing, man.
No need for Zoom. We'll get enough action.
There you go.
No big.
You're not wearing that outside in the street, so you only wear that outside the studio.
No, I can't.
I like a ring you could land a plane on. All right, let's get this thing started. Our game of the night, obviously only one place to go, and that is Toronto. Raptors, the hosts, and you know who was ready. Jurassic Park was ready. You know who else was ready? Champagne Poppy. He's ready to go. He's got the Del Curry jersey and everything. All right, going to pick it up in the third quarter. How good was Pascal Siakam?
He was amazing. He did everything that his team needed to do, especially with Kawhi being a little hobbled. But look, just outrunning the Warriors and getting out to the lane right there.
Toronto by 7 after 3. And then Fred VanVleet. They needed to find something somewhere else last night, Jay, and he was the man who did it.
After the birth of his second child, he's really been playing extremely well. 4 of 4 from the three-point line as well.
Look at this sequence here. Now he gets the bucket. Now back we go the other way. And Serge Ibaka playing defense. Great sequence for the Raptors who have a 5-point lead. Later, their lead is 7. Siakam again. How does this one go?
Well, sometimes it's just better to be lucky than good. That's really all you can say. When you're 14 for 17 from the field, not all of them are going to be pretty. There's going to be a few lucky shots that drop like this next one for Danny Green.
Welcome back, Danny Green. Welcome back.
I'm not sure if that one was lucky. That's a nice feed. Green had 11, by the way. Later, it's an 8-point game. Kawhi Leonard, again, quiet. Only made 5 shots from the floor last night, but those 3 of his 23 were big, and Toronto's lead was 11. Under 4 to go now. The Raptors' lead is 10. And again, you mentioned better lucky than good. Here we go.
Here we go. Here, look at this. Off the wrong foot, glass, spin around, drop. It was just impressive.
Jurassic Park was fired up just over a minute ago, looking to put a punctuation. Siakam, no. Siakam, yes. You mentioned it. 14 of 17, 32 points for Pascal Siakam. And as they're walking off the floor, ooh, a little nastiness.
Yeah.
We got Drake. We got Draymond. If you had the end of game 1 as when those two would exchange words, you had a winner last night. And the Raptors are up 1-0.
Had someone told you that in your very first NBA Finals game, you'd put up 32 points, what would you have said to that person?
Probably that it was crazy. At that time, I don't even know if I really dreamed of, being at this level. I think once I got to the point where I felt like I had a chance, I put everything, forward, and I just worked really hard and, prepared for times like this.
We're down 0-1, but it's not the end of the world. New experiences for us all the way through, but, we've proven our resiliency and ability to win games that we need to and kind of answer the bell and learn from, nights like tonight.
So on this night, Steph and Clay, made 10 of 12 open shots, but combined to shoot just 26% on 23 attempts when contested by a Raptors defender, and contested they were. So, okay, let's talk about this here for a minute. Jay, Will, you were there in the building. So the 3 of us were together yesterday. If I had said to you yesterday, Steph and Clay are going to score 55, Draymond's going to have a triple-double, and Kawhi Leonard is only going to make 5 shots, would you have ever believed me if I had said Toronto was going to win the game? How did that happen?
Well, first off, it's 0 transition threes. We were talking about this before we came on air. You always feel like Golden State can get back in the game. They get back in the game with these huge momentum threes. Off a turnover, Steph or Clay make a 3. Next thing you know, they're back in the game because they go on a 6-0 run or a 6-2 run. 0 transition threes. So I thought that Toronto did a really good job of tagging these guys wherever they were at and forcing them to be 2-point scorers more so than making threes that allowed them to get back into the game.
Yeah, and you look at the roster for the Toronto Raptors. Serge Ibaka has played against this Warriors team. Kawhi Leonard has. Danny Green has. So when they understand the urgency of how to get back and the principles that are needed to slow down the Golden State Warriors, I think the Toronto defense was impressive.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, so Greeny, you have to be able to tag guys. So I saw this multiple times between Kyle Lowry, Fred VanVleet, Danny Green, or Kawhi. When the ball would go up, you would see them not go to attack the offensive board, but they would be trying to find exactly where Steph or Clay was on the court to pick them up early, to meet them around half court or the full court instead of losing them in transition, which typically happens.
Yeah, no, you look at this entire, look, all of these possessions here, they're just length and size. And look, the Warriors know how to knock these shots down, but they've had a 9-day layoff. Right, they're a little short-handed. Andre Iguodala obviously isn't himself right now, and so it's just you look at all of those things combined, and that's how we got to this spot.
Yeah, look, and to me, the biggest note that comes out of last night, or at least one of them, is that the Raptors win a game in which Kawhi Leonard does not take over. The one thing we all thought for certain was he's going to have to be great every single night for them to win. So what does it mean that they win a game in which he wasn't great last night?
Well, look, 14 for 17. This is my biggest issue with the Warriors. And look, the entire Toronto Raptors organization, you guys were amazing. Everyone, it was great. Great game plan, great defense, great execution. But now we're going to look at like what happened. And Siakam going 14 for 17 and only shooting 2 free throws means that there was really not a lot of resistance given by the Golden State Warriors. Toronto shot 50% from the field, 40% from 3. That's not going to get it done in the NBA Finals.
He's got to put some respect on the Raptors' name.
Yeah.
They had to lead the whole damn game.
Yeah.
The whole game. No transition threes for Golden State. Yeah, the defense wasn't great, but we need to stop this narrative like they're better without Kevin Durant. Like we really do, because on those nights where Andre Iguodala can't get going, or I love Quinn Cook, but Quinn Cook is playing solid minutes in the NBA Finals. Kevon Looney isn't really doing anything. Draymond Green is 2 of 6 from the field. Even though he got a triple-double, he didn't play well. You need guys that can score the ball. And when you have the best scorer on the planet on your team, it makes everybody else's job easier.
Now, so we're going to get to Durant in a second, but let's start by talking a little more about Siakam. And I'm going to show you just some more of what his magic was last night. Because here's a guy, he was the most improved player in the league this season. He was the best player on the court in his first ever NBA Finals game, and he showed you the whole repertoire. This is third quarter action here. He's spinning and he's scoring, giving the Raptors a 10-point lead, 3 for 3 in that quarter. He really dominated the third, which is usually Golden State's time. He personally was 5 for 5 in the third.
He was, and I heard a lot of Raptors fans say this last night, and I've seen it the whole year. When he doesn't settle for just shooting threes and he attacks the rim, that's when he's at his best.
Yeah, and I look, Draymond got into it with Champagne Papi. I thought I would never say this. I need to see more fight from Draymond.
Yeah.
Right? I need to see a little bit more, hey, take this personally. Now, again, there were some plays that could have gone either way, but I think I need Draymond to be a lot more aggressive.
Siakam, 14 of 17, 32 points in the win.
It's bigger than basketball, and every night that I go out there, I have a bigger purpose, and I play for something bigger than just basketball, and I think that's what makes it special. That every night I'm out there, no matter the result, no matter how many points I score, I'm playing for something bigger than myself.
I've heard, a lot of people or him say some things this year, and they keep saying, "Are you surprised?" And he keeps saying, "No, this is what I've always envisioned for myself." So I think that's a powerful statement he makes as well. He believes in himself, and he went to work at it.
He's become a guy, and so, you gotta. He put a lot of work in to get there, and I respect that. But like I said, I got to take him out of this series, and that's on me.
All right, you just said it.
Respect.
He just said it. Yeah. What's the adjustment there? What do they? Obviously, 82% from the floor doesn't happen every single night, but he killed them last night. What do they have to do defensively?
Well, their game plan was great. I actually like the Warriors' game plan. They wanted the other guys to beat them, and the other guys did. But I think if you're like, okay, how can we build off of this? I need to see more aggression. I don't want this man to shoot 2 free throws and have 17 field goals and make 14 of them. One time, put him on his butt. One time, slap him across his hand. One time, just do something. Foul him away from the ball. There's more things that you can do, and I'm not saying play dirty, but if you're not showing any resistance and it's just like ticky-tack fouls, then he's going to be able to eat all night.
I think you got to give him a lot of credit, though, Greeny, because as a young basketball player, I think he settled into taking a lot of threes. And one of the things that happened in transition, you saw Golden State as they're matching up. There were a lot of times Draymond wasn't on him. There was a smaller player on him. And for Pascal to recognize I have smaller players on me, I can drive, I can get you to the rim, I can punish you with those shots around the basket, that says a lot about his maturity as a player. Now, he needs to sustain that in order for him to continue to win these games.
And look, when the Warriors are playing small, this is where you see them miss Kevin Durant, right? Because now Kevin Durant is 7 feet tall with length. Where you saw there, Siakam is bigger than everyone else on that small ball team for the Warriors. But when you have Kevin Durant, a 6'11" guy with a 7'5" wingspan, he can come over and contest some of those shots. He can come over and block some of those shots or just give a little bit more resistance. So the Warriors have to make an adjustment just purely based off their lack of size.
You know, all the conversation that we had leading up to this, and as good as Golden State looked and all the attention we were paying to Milwaukee, the one thought that I kept having watching this game last night was, I think a lot of us, myself included, missed the boat on just how good Toronto is. You know, you don't.
They were favored in the game, Greeny.
They were favored last night in the game. But you watch it last night; it did not have the look of a fluke. Like as the game was going on, it did not have the look of a surprise. It had the look of a team that can just stifle you defensively. They are. That was a stifling defensive performance.
And you look at it; they were down 0-2 to Milwaukee, right? So they're showing multiple different facets. Like they can come back, they can lead the series. Like they are showing a focus that it takes to be a champion, and that's why they're here right now, and you have to give them credit. It's only one game, but they're showing that, hey, this is going to be a series.
And I'll say this, Steph is watching that game last night, and with that kind of length, Steph is the only guy, Greeny, that can do something off the dribble.
Yeah.
He's the only one that can get his own shot off the dribble, with the exception of Draymond. If Draymond's a creator, but he has 6 turnovers.
But again, the Warriors, they knew this. When you went all superstars and limited bench, you knew that the only thing that could possibly slow you down is injuries, and here they are dealing with injuries. You got Andre Iguodala that's hobbled. You got Boogie Cousins that's just coming back, and there's really no signs on whether or not Kevin Durant's going to play.
Well, that actually leads us directly to where Stephen A. took us as we were checking in with him, and his reaction last night was talking all about that, all about the supporting cast. One team was big and one team not so at all.
When Golden State doubled Kawhi Leonard, other guys stepped up. When the Toronto Raptors doubled Steph Curry, virtually no one stepped up. Klay Thompson may have had 21 points, may have hit 8 or 17 shots and what have you, but where was anybody else? If you're the Golden State Warriors, somebody has to step up on the offensive side of the ball and help out Steph and Klay. Give me about 15 points, whether you're Iguodala, you're Livingston, you're Looney, anybody that you can find. Give me something offensively.
So you heard him going through the names there, whether you're Iguodala, you're Livingston, you're Looney. Who's going to do it?
That's right. Well, with all due respect to everybody that he just mentioned, like, who's really going to do that?
Well,
Alfonso McKinney?
Well, I don't want to talk as much. If we're going to talk about that, we're not going to talk about offense. So somebody definitely needs to step up for the Warriors, but I think they need to play better defense. Like, that's where the Warriors, people forget that the Warriors have been a top 3 defensive team during this 5-year stretch of dominance. They've been a high-level defensive team, very similar to what Toronto is doing right now. But obviously you're missing guys and guys are hobbled, but if you're going to give up 50% from the field and 40% from 3, on the road, you're not going to win many games. So if their focus needs to be more on the defensive end than on the offensive end.
I hear you, but last night you're sitting behind the bench and I'm watching him. I see Andre Iguodala say to Steve Kerr, like, my knees seem like they shot. They seem like they're shot.
Yeah.
Right? So if you're taking Andre Iguodala out of the picture, Kevon Looney, Jordan Bell, Quinn Cook, Sean Livingston, like, these are legitimate names. You're saying you have to give me.
And they still scored 108 points.
I agree with
someone on the other side going 14 for 17. I'm not saying that Toronto can't win this series. I think that this is going to be a great series that not a lot of people know which way it's going to go. But what they're going to need to do is they're going to need to make this more of a defensive series than us trying to outscore you.
And the other factor in this is we try and figure out where else Golden State can go for offense is, I guess, that guy that we're seeing on the screen. In this moment, he's playing D. But do they need this?
They do.
Was what we saw last night an indication that as great as they were against Portland, that they need Kevin Durant to win this?
This ain't Portland, and this ain't Houston. This is a well-balanced team with a stud, a future star, and a great defensive team. And they have lots of guys that have played against the Warriors before. That's one thing that I will say playing against them in the regular season, and then all of a sudden in the finals, if you don't see anything like the Warriors, you have no experience. But then all of a sudden, again, we said this, Danny Green, you have Serge Ibaka, and Kawhi Leonard understand the intensity that it takes to play against this Warriors team.
I'm just going to ask you as directly as it can be asked.
Yes. Yes.
Can the Warriors win this series if Durant does not play a minute?
I picked Toronto in 7.
Yeah.
What do you mean, here we go? I said it yesterday.
Here we go.
I picked Toronto in 7 if Kevin Durant doesn't play. I think something else that people are looking over, the energy in that building last night was insane. I'm not saying it was better than Oracle, because Oracle's crazy too. But let's not forget, this is the first time this team is having their first NBA Finals experience on the road. On the road. And under Steve Kerr, in the finals, on the road, they're 6-5. They're 6-5.
Yeah.
So this is new territory for them to feel out as well.
Yeah, no, and there's a lot of bodies that haven't really experienced this. Yes, Quinn Cook and all of these guys. Some of these guys might have championships. Looney might have championships, but they're in a very different role. You're asking Steph to go back and play a 73-win style basketball. You're asking Clay to do that. Draymond, they're like, fine. But now you're asking Looney and McKinney to go out there and we need you to score. We're going to ask you to do a role that you have never done before. And I think when you look at that, it becomes a little bit more difficult for these guys.
Yeah, there's a bunch of guys in the supporting cast not knocking down shots last night, and some of that is on the road, and some of that could be a little bit of rust. And look, there's no cause for any panic.
No.
There's an amazing statistic. This is the 5th time under Steve Kerr that Golden State has trailed in a playoff series. They won the previous 4. The only time they ever lost a playoff series, you guys beat them in a Game 7 in a series in which you never led until it was actually over. So, look, they've come from behind before. I don't think there's any reason to believe that they will panic. But if you needed some indication, if there were anyone out there that was sort of a doubter and needed an indication that the Raptors are absolutely capable of fighting this team toe-to-toe, I think last night we saw it.
There's also a stat that said the team that wins Game 1 in the NBA Finals wins the series 71% of the time.
That's a good stat.
71% of the time.
To stats and numbers, but
I'm just saying, and if you're Toronto, if you don't get Game 1, then it would have been over.
But
you got to get Game 1.
And no one was saying this was ever going to be a sweep. So I think we're right where I think everyone believes this series is going to go.
The only person who said that was Dan Orlovsky, sitting right there, which means from now
Dan,
on,
you're not
he is
allowed.
limited
No more.
to football
You
conversation only.
Yeah.
And we'll talk to him about quarterbacks and nothing else. All right, let me get up and go here and catch you up on some of the other things that